Good afternoon. My name is Wendy Johnson. I am the outreach coordinator at the UW-Madison Language Institute. We're part of the College of Letters and Science, and we receive substantial support also from the Division of International Studies. And today's talk is called Language for Life, Languages and Engineering. Language for Life is a regular program of the Language Institute that brings back alumni working in any number of and variety of professions and fields to tell us about how they're using their languages in their careers. And today I'm very pleased to have three very interesting panelists with us to speak about using languages in engineering work. I'll introduce our three panelists just very briefly because I think they'll talk a lot about their stories, their bios. Our first speaker will be Christopher Bareither. Christopher received his bachelor's degree in geological engineering from the University of Idaho, and recently, last year, completed his PhD from UW-Madison in geological engineering. During his time on the UW-Madison campus, Christopher was very involved with Engineers Without Borders, so he'll tell us about that. Christopher speaks Spanish and also a bit of Swedish from time spent on a study abroad program in Sweden, which I think we'll also hear about. Then our second speaker is Eileen Chow. Eileen completed her bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering last year, right, in 2010. And since then, Eileen has been working as a graduate fellow at a non-governmental organization called Meds and Foods for Kids. It is a non-governmental organization, right? That makes life-saving, ready-to-use therapeutic food called Medica Mamba, used to treat children with acute malnutrition. Eileen's work with that organization includes both engineering work and also sounds like program coordination kind of work, right? And then finally, our last speaker is Jeff Chacarel. Did I say that right? Sort of. Who received his degree in mechanical engineering in December of 2009. During Jeff's time as an undergraduate, he studied French and also some Spanish, right? And Jeff currently works for Plexus, whose global headquarters is in Neenah, Wisconsin. But while Jeff was a student, he studied abroad in France, did a summer internship in Malaysia, and then with Plexus, and then started working for them after graduation. And I forgot to mention Eileen Chow, our second panelist, speaks Mandarin Chinese, French, and Haitian Creole. So let's start first with Chris Bareither. Please help me welcome him.
Hello? Okay, that's probably good. All right, well, it's great to be here talking in the Languages for Engineering panel. My name is Chris Bareither. As Wendy mentioned, I'm a geological engineer and currently still in the academic community. So a little bit on my background, kind of where I originated from and where I went abroad. So I'm originally from the Chicago area, Palos Park, Illinois. I went to undergrad at University of Idaho, and it was during my time there that I got a taste for the international life, where I spent the academic year of 2002-2003 in Luleå, Sweden. You can see it way up there at the top. It's about 60 miles south of the Arctic Circle. It's kind of cold. Went back, finished up my degree in University of Idaho, came to Madison, Wisconsin in 2004, did my MS and my PhD here, and it was during my time here that I got involved with Engineers Without Borders and spent about a year and a half really heavily involved about 4 years overall in El Salvador project, but I made 4 trips down to El Salvador during 2008, 2009. So I'm going to spend my time talking about my experience in El Salvador and also in Sweden. So my language skills, I wish they were better, but I do have some language skills. My Spanish was restricted mainly to high school courses, and then I didn't really use it at all until I got involved with the El Salvador project. But it was during those 4 trips I spent about 7 weeks in country over the span of about a year and a half. So it progressively got better, and definitely I can attest to the fact that the more you know, the more you're involved, and you just get incredible interaction. So I would say during my last trip, I got to a really good conversational level where I could work with people, make myself understood, and essentially understand what was going on. Swedish was interesting for me because I actually chose to go to Sweden because I didn't know a foreign language and they were very good at English, but it was there that I got a taste for language and really wanted to learn it. So I actually took 4 Swedish language courses and a literature course there when I was there for the 10 months. So I got to a proficient level where I could interact, go around, speak with people. I lived with a friend who is from Sweden for about 6 months, so I definitely could essentially get by on a daily basis with my Swedish knowledge. So it was Luleå, Sweden. This was a technical university, and I actually chose this for the engineering. As I mentioned, I wasn't very strong in language, and they had a very strong engineering program, so I could go abroad, study engineering, do some courses in English, but when I started making all these friends with these people from around the world, I learned that my lack of knowledge was essentially contrasted to their knowledge of 3, 4, 5 languages. So I got really interested in learning a language and studied Swedish heavily while I was there. Overall, it was definitely a fabulous experience. But one thing I wanted to note that essentially as an American, and I think this will be reflected in some other panelists too, is probably, especially in the academic community, I ended up helping a lot of others with their English a lot too. And that was okay because it was, me giving back in another way in relation to language. Because everyone wants to speak with me in English, but I wanted to speak with them in Swedish. So some attributes I acquired during my time there was definitely an appreciation for language and communication, not just in the Swedish language, but also for English too. Essentially this enhanced teamwork, patience, and understanding, because there you're not just in a team with your peers, but they're peers from different countries, speaking different languages, having different backgrounds. So being able to learn how to assess a project, and maybe everyone doesn't understand exactly what's going on, but you can understand through the mathematical language, which we all pretty much understand pretty well. This independent learning was something I really built on too. Because in Sweden, as I mentioned, there were some classes I could take in English, but there were others where I was actually in a lecture hall. This course was taught in Swedish, and after about 3/4 of my time there, I could sit and have an understanding of that, but there was an independent learning component where I had to go on my own and make sure I understood everything to be able to go back and relate to the class. And then obviously, I had a desire for travel and to see new places. So just want to point out a couple pictures. So this is me here. One of the classes that a lot of the exchange students would take when they were in Sweden was an ice and snow mechanics course. Because it's a big deal up there, they have essentially frozen ground for almost 3/4 of the year. So here we're out mapping faults and checking the snow strength for avalanche potential. And then one thing I'd like to note about exchange programs overall is everyone's very engaged and excited to be there. So this was our end of the year banquet. You can't see it that great, but I mean all the exchange students are great to be around.